children now. So listen, I'm going to pimp a couple of my new projects, and then I'm just going to open the floor real quick here to Q&A. First of all, for all you gamers, I've got a great new game coming out, and I'm finally allowed, this is the first show I've done where I can really feel free to talk about it a little bit. But I've been working on this for over a year for Time Warner, and it is the entire DC universe, and it's called Injustice 2. And I throw down with everybody. If I'm not fighting Batgirl, I'm fighting Supergirl. I'm Harley Quinn, you name it, and I throw down with them because I am Scarecrow. And you can see the trailer now, and it's not available yet, but you can put in your orders. There's also a trailer I just found out of a movie I shot in Europe last year with Jason London from Dazed and Confused. And it's kind of a Twilight Zone philosophical horror. I play a kind of contemporary Van Helsing character who is blind, and I'm brought out of retirement because one of the 7 portals to purgatory throughout the world, the seal has been broken, and they don't want the people that are hovering in purgatory to get into our world. And the movie's called Night World. So you can go onto the Night World site. There's a couple of great stills. You can look at the photos, and then just hit the trailer. You know, click on the trailer and watch it. So Night World is coming out. Injustice 2, my game, and then another film that I'm very, very pleased with. Several years ago, I did a great little film with Scott Wilson from Walking Dead, Zelda Rubinstein from Poltergeist, and it's achieving kind of cult status now. It's called Behind the Mask: The Rise of Leslie Vernon, and we're trying to get it in to be a kind of limited series. Now we have some great ideas for a kind of girl power limited series with it. But the art director on Behind the Mask is directed a film that I just did in Winnipeg with the great Lin Shaye from Insidious. And yeah, so Lynn and I are reunited. We did 2001 Maniacs together. You know, you guys know Lynn from everything. You know, Lynn was obviously Something About Mary with the floppy tatas. And, but Lynn was in the original Nightmare on Elm Street. She's the teacher. And she's been in lots of good stuff that you know her from. Lynn and I are I'm her doctor, and Lynn is ill. And when we were children in the 1950s, we played a game we should not have played. And sort of like when I did Urban Legend, you know, Bloody Mary, spin around 3 times. Uh-oh. So now we're very old, and someone has found this game in an attic, and Lynn and I are the only survivors, and we have to try to save the kids that played the game they shouldn't have played. So check it out. It's called Midnight Man. And that's the name of the game. Midnight Man. It'll be out this year. Okay, that's it. That's my new projects. There's one coming out with giant puppets, but because it's giant puppets, it's taking long. It's almost like, you know, what's that called, you guys, with the animation? Stop animation. It's, I mean, with puppets, but they're life-size, and we're really pushing the envelope with this. Lots of people you know are in it. Christopher McDonald, yours truly. And I'll let you guys know more about that. You can find that on my website, robertenglund.com. I can't wait to see it. This beautiful young couple, it was their idea, and it's a little bit like that Christian Bale film several years ago in terms of theme. The one where he lost all the weight, got very, very skinny. But now it's done with like a kind of IT nerd, life-size puppet who lives with his mommy. you know, and goes to the cubicle every day, and he's very sad, and he kind of breaks down, and he experiences aliens and alcoholism and all these things, but they're puppets. It's not actors. It's going to be I can't wait to see what it's like. Every once in a while you have to roll the dice. Okay, so I'm done talking about myself and promoting myself, so anybody that has any questions at all, I just finished my maybe my 75th movie. I've done 4 television series, 120 guest stars. So I'll answer any questions you guys have about anything you want to ask. So, shall we go here first? Ladies first? All right.
Hello, a pleasure.
Is your mic on?
Nope, it's not.
I think there's a little
Testing. Okay, now it's on.
Okay, so
Pleasure.
everybody can hear her? Okay.
Got me? Okay. It's a pleasure to see you again. My question is, so Wes Craven did a great blend of realities in Wes Craven's new Nightmare. Rest in peace, Wes Craven. And my question was, you know, in the story, it was kind of where the actors couldn't tell reality from the movie. Do you personally, kind of like an Inception, do you ever experience that? Any kind of delusions with Freddy Krueger himself?
You know, I'm pretty ordinary. My nightmares and my dreams are all about when I was a young actor in the theater, and I forgot my lines backstage just before I heard my cue to enter, and that's an actor's nightmare. It's a stress dream. Maybe it's because I experienced so much surrealism in the nature of my career, movie work, acting. It's a very strange profession, and things get surreal very quick. But I'll tell you where it's strange. You guys are very young here, and there's a great Italian film director named Federico Fellini. Hey, Federico, ciao, hey. But Fellini did these stylized, wonderful, slightly surreal films. And we love them, and in the late 60s and the 70s, you know, we sort of use that as a reference point, like people use David Lynch as a reference point, or Wes Craven as a reference point, or any of the new kids on the block that are working all the time now. But my wife and I do movies in Europe a lot, and we were over in Rome, and we were sitting in a sidewalk cafe, and a lot of those people are real. A lot of those people that we used to call, oh man, it's getting, dude, this party's getting real Fellini, man. And, well, those people are real. You see them on the streets of Italy, and you see the great faces, and you see the women that still have the big hair or the big gold earrings riding on a Vespa, you know, with their skirt blowing up over their thighs. And it's real. That stuff really happens. And when you see it against a bus, you know, with a bunch of American tourists on it, and behind the bus with American tourists and their cameras and their Hawaiian shirts is the Coliseum, that becomes surreal. Those 3 things stacked up against each other can become very strange. Like if you guys were in San Francisco sitting in a sidewalk cafe and all of a sudden an elephant walked down the street. The juxtaposition would be really strange. But in my life, in show business, I encounter stuff like that all the time. So it doesn't disturb me. I did a movie in Park City, Sundance, Park City, Salt Lake, skiing, Disney movie with the late, great Paul Walker. And Paul Walker and myself and the late, great Dennis Hopper were working on this film. And there were animals involved, so there were animal wranglers there. And I had to do a scene with that famous Hollywood bear. And you've seen him in a million movies. Most famously, he starred in that movie with Alec Baldwin and Anthony Hopkins. But this bear's he's in every movie and every commercial you ever see. It's the same bear. And he's beautiful. He's got this gorgeous gray coat. The guy's got a better dressing room than I do, this bear. Damn bear. Anyway, I guess he's a union bear. Anyway, so I'm doing this scene with the bear, and I've got to point a crossbow at this bear. Well, I look behind me, and there's no cameraman. There's no crew. They're 100 yards away. They're shooting on a long lens. They've got robotic cameras shooting me and the bear, and my buddy, who's playing the other dumb Disney bad guy. I'm the dumb Disney bad guy, and my buddy's the other, we're Mutt and Jeff, tall and short, the dumb Disney bad guys. And I'm shooting the bear with a crossbow, and my buddy got very, very scared Now, we calmed him down, we got the bear's right in front of us, and the only other person near the bear is the wrangler, and he's got oranges. And whenever the bear acts up, he just throws an orange at the bear. The bear loves oranges. This bear's like standing up. This bear's, I don't know, 15 feet all the way up. 12 to 15 feet. It's a big bear when he really rears up. Now, the crew's horny. Down the trail come two beautiful teenage girls on horseback, bareback, Sundance, summer, Park City, beautiful, Salt Lake, Utah, Wasatch Mountains. Dun, 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 dun. Here they come in their horses. So the crew guys, hey, baby, the crew guys are all flirting with the girls. Well, the horses stop. The crew guys talk to the cute girls, tell them where they're going to be having beer and pizza that night, and the horses poop. Drives the bear crazy. And all animals drive the bear crazy, but horse poop drives them double crazy. They clean up the horse poop, they get all the food off the set, all the catering, take it away, get rid of the cocktail weenies, get rid of the Fritos and the Cheez-Its, peanut butter and jelly, get it all away, clean it out. We don't want to confuse the bear. We got actors working with the bear. I'm down there. We're throwing oranges at the bear, calming the damn bear down. And now the bear rears up for the first time in one of the takes, and I hear, and I look over, and my buddy, his pants. The other actor gets scared. So now the bear doesn't like that. The bear looks like Kevin Bacon now, you know. Oh my God. Okay, here's the story. Everybody cleans up, we get the shot. That night, to make him feel good, I go downstairs to the other actor's room. Open up his little mini fridge, I pull out a beer, and there's all this weird stuff in their mini fridge. I don't know, it's the weirdest, it looks like test tubes from a mad scientist's laboratory. And I look over at my friend and the other actor, who shall remain nameless, and he's milking a cobra in the motel room. He's milking a cobra for the venom. Because he sells, that's what he does, that's his part-time job. Because it's really lucrative. But I said, you've got snakes in your room. I'm upstairs from you. And when the bear stood up today, I said, what's going on here? I said, how can you do this and be afraid of the bear? And he goes, well, you know, I said, by the way, how did you get the snakes here? He put them in tube socks with laces around his arm, under his armpit, because snakes love it where it's warm and moist, and took the plane to Salt Lake. Anyway, if that's your real life, the surrealism of Nightmare on Elm Street doesn't get to you very much. Yes.
First off, I just want to say thank you, because Nightmare on Elm Street was the first horror film that I ever watched when I was 8 years old. So you and Wes are like the reason why I've been obsessed with horror movies. So thank you for that. My question is, what is your fondest memory of working with Wes Craven on the Nightmare on Elm Street series? And were you guys in contact on possibly collaborating on future projects before his passing?
When we were I did a series for Wes called Nightmare Cafe. And that was the network trying to exploit Wes and my reputation. But it was supposed to be called Terminal Bar. And I was talking about my new movie, which is about purgatory. This movie was about a kind of purgatory, and a diner was a last chance bar for people either going to heaven or hell. And it was a chance for them to do one right thing, or they sort of were blessed. They were allowed to do one thing to make something right in their life before they either went up or down. And it starred Jack Coleman and myself, Jack Coleman from Heroes. Jack was wonderful in this, and a great set. We were shooting in Vancouver, Canada. And we were on a break on the show, and it was Saturday night. And I had the best apartment because I had a dog with me and a wife. And the dog, we were up by Stanley Park, and if you know Vancouver, it's the most beautiful park in North America. It's better than Central Park in New York. Just phenomenal. Better than the park in San Francisco even. It's just an extraordinary, because it's got water on all three sides. And we use it a lot for location. Well, I was right up by the beautiful park, in this great apartment, and I could walk down to the secret cocktail lounge of Katie Lang. Katie Lang would sing after midnight. And this was also the place that had revived the martini. Now we've all gone past that with Cosmos and girls' nights out and everything. But this was at that moment when the martini came back as a cocktail. And it was just this great time. And so Wes came over, and Jack, and we watched Saturday Night Live. And we'd had a martini at Katie Lang's house. We were all sitting around, 11:30 at night. And there was this incredible, dark, black humor sketch on SNL with Dana Carvey, and it was called Head Wound Harry. And if you want to, after you leave here, look it up. It's online. You can find it. SNL sketches, Head Wound Harry. Anyway, it was absolute crazy, offbeat black humor, and Wes Craven practically wet his pants laughing. And he was giggling like a 12-year-old boy. Snot was coming out his nose. Wes almost slipped off the couch laughing. And between them, Wes Craven and Jack Coleman are probably 14 feet tall. They're both really tall guys. And that was the moment that Wes really let me be an equal. He let me see the 14-year-old boy that he kept alive in him. He let his guard down. He had a little bit to drink. And I got to see that magical part of Wes. He wasn't just my boss or my Dr. Frankenstein. You know, he was this real, wonderful man. And I don't know if you guys know this about Wes, but he had very, very strict parents. And he hadn't seen anything. He was not allowed to watch television or movies growing up. He was only allowed to watch The Wonderful World of Disney. That was it, yeah. And so, after he left home, he was catching up on everything. Horror movies, foreign films, cowboy movies, war movies, all kinds. He was always catching up. And when I would go visit Wes, and Wes lived in the top of the Hollywood Hills on a peninsula of cliff with a canyon on either side and a little tiny narrow lap pool. And it was the coolest bachelor pad man cave in the world. And you know who he bought it from? Steve McQueen. And Wes fixed it up. It was so amazing, you guys. But every time I went up there, the coffee table book, the record on the record, the new CD, whatever I saw laying around, Wes was always into new cool stuff. He was like the coolest boy that you played with when you were a kid. Remember when you were a kid, there was always somebody that had the coolest room in a house somewhere, like a clubhouse? Wes was sort of like that guy too. And so that was my greatest moment with Wes. But I do remember this because this is a tech-savvy con. On Nightmare Cafe, that's the first time I saw a laptop. 94. Wes had laptops on the set, and Wes could fix the dialogue instantly and print it out and give us new lines and dialogue. So Wes was very, very tech-savvy and very tech-friendly and very ahead of the game with that. Next question.
My favorite.
It's a dirty job that somebody has
but,
to do.
But you know, as a kid, it's meant to scare you. As an adult, you go back and you watch it, and you don't realize how not scary it was, but at the same time it was scary. There were so many sexual innuendos in those movies. But my question is, you will always be Freddy Krueger to everybody. You will be our Freddy Krueger. No one will ever play Freddy Krueger like you played Freddy Krueger. If they give you an obscene amount of money, will you put the mask on again?
No, it's not about money, you guys. I'm just an old dog now. You guys gotta understand something. You know there's an age cutoff for athletes. And you guys have great teams up here. But you know, those older players, they can't get out of bed on Monday.
I don't believe that in you, though.
No, you gotta listen to me. I was a really good surfer and AAU swimmer. And I lettered in gymnastics and swimming in the 10th grade. So I already had a varsity letter when I was 15 years old. And that's all I needed to ask girls out. And I quit the team. And I'd go to sixth period gym to roll call for the team. Here, present, and accounted for. And then I'd get in my car and we'd all pinch our lunch money together and go surfing in Malibu. You know, because that was it. We made roll call. I quit the team every year for 3 years. After I lettered, I'm not I'm not encouraging this behavior. I had a bad coach. I didn't like the coach. But I was an athlete. And because I was an athlete, I know, you know when to stop certain things. Now, I had a really bad wipeout in my late 50s, and I'm still suffering from that in my neck. And when I do fight scenes and stuff, the boy, I'm still, in my brain, I'm still a young guy. I'm still like, you know, hard and quick and fast. And yet, I know that even though my timing may be still really well, that if anything goes wrong, it takes longer to heal.
Yeah.
And it takes long. And plus, every one of my old injuries has come back to live with me. This is something you guys don't know. Whether it's too much sunburn, whether it's a bad knee from football or track or tendon or Achilles tendon or a neck injury or a back injury. I have so many buddies that played football that walk like little old men now, you know, and because they hurt their backs. And they're like, they can't, that lower spine, they can't sit up tall. So do your yoga. No. But no, I couldn't do Freddy again because they want to reboot the entire franchise. And
No.
well, here's an idea. Guys, I'm a Hollywood brat. Now listen to me. Every movie your grandparents saw is a remake. They were silent films. Half of the movies you've seen were black and white movies that were remade for color. Now we're going to remake movies because we can do effects better. Sometimes it's a good idea, sometimes it's a bad idea. Sometimes it's successful, sometimes it's not. Sometimes they get the casting wrong. But there's a reason why. And I'm not putting down millennials, but I have young friends. You can't get them into a black and white movie. And I could take everybody here out to a private room somewhere with the best flat screen in the world, and I could pick 10 great black and white movies. I can make you all wet your pants. They're so good. I mean, they're great movies. And I mean not just horror, not just science fiction, not just fantasy. I've got courtroom dramas you guys would all love in black and white. So if we're not going to see them, somebody should remake them. That's going to happen. I could do a couple. Look, they could remake Part 2, which has a lot of interesting sexual theme to it, you know, that wasn't talked about a lot when it came out. Very bold for its time. People are writing lots of papers about it now in universities. But that might be interesting. It might be interesting to use some of the effects that they used in Inception and that Robin Williams movie, When Dreams May Come. Though I think those are real landscape of the mind, dream-like images, and I would like to use some of that technology in one of the new Nightmare movies. But I don't have that many left in me, if I have any left in me, because they don't just shoot it from one angle. They shoot every fight scene and every stunt from different angles. You know, in Freddy vs. Jason, that's me jumping all that way down into the boiler room. And it's not that far, it just looks far because of the camera. It's like if I stood on this and jumped into the second row. But still, you know, I wasn't a kid anymore. And of course, I could do it once, it looked great. I had to do it like 4 more times, you know. And I had to come out of that water on that wire. And this is 2004, you guys, that's what, 12 years ago. I had to come out of the water on the wire. And the first time it was fine. Third time, I'm freezing. Your muscles are tight from the cold, you know, you're cramped up. I mean, I don't know where it said in my contract I had to work in Jason's damn Crystal Lake. In September in Canada, when it, like, literally, September 12th, you can walk around with your shirt off. September 14th, you know, you gotta wear a parka. And just boom, the curtain comes down. It's fall! And it was cold up there. We were, you know, a crazy shoot. So that's why. It's not money. It's that they want an actor. And this is the rumor I've heard, the Jungle Drums. The message is that maybe it's Kevin Bacon, and I think it's a real interesting idea. I'd love to see them mash up 3 and 4 with the overlapping cast, and maybe they'll bring me back. They'd be smart to, I think, as a cameo, perhaps. I would be the old, you know, there was that skeptical woman that with all the kids in Part 3, Dream Warriors, that didn't believe that they were having a common nightmare. Wouldn't it be funny if I was that part of it?
It would.
There's no such thing as a common nightmare, you silly goose. You know, So it might be fun to come back and do some cameo work. But no, I'm not going to be Freddy again. I'm doing horror movies all the time. I do a couple a year. So I'll continue to do horror movies because the genre's been very, very good to me. And because the genre keeps refreshing itself. Get Out, huh?
Yeah.
Good movie. I like Split. I like The Witch. There's been some good movies lately. There's some more coming out, and I'll tell you, for me, some of the more recent game changers, whether it's Deadpool, whether it's Guardians of the Galaxy, for me, amazing, and it made my IQ go up 20 points, and you can watch it twice. Legion on FX. This is origin story, and it's taken the whole idea of superheroes to another level for me. Really, the level that we all knew when we use our own imagination, and we're reading a really good edition of a comic book, of a superhero comic book, and you make that little extra thing happen between the page and the written word and that storyboarded image and your own imagination, and you fill it in a little bit, and that's what Legion has done. They've gone to the psychological, philosophical of what it is to be a superhero. Kind of like Logan. Logan also got in there a little bit with it. And they deliver the goods as well. They deliver the goods. We get our cheap thrills that we can't live without. Next question.
Yes, I'd like to thank you so much for what you've meant to me in my life. Not necessarily for your horror work. The small story is that when I was sick as a young man, my mom and I would put in our two VHS cassettes of V. And I would love to thank you for being a part of that cast.
Oh, well, I'm glad to have had the greatest job in the world and have it do something good for you as a selfish actor person that I am. But let me tell you something that's a phenomenon that's come to me over the years. Slowly and increasingly, I realize that I'm so fortunate that my career, even though I'd done 10 years of movies, A-list movies in the 70s, that my career coming of age in the early to mid-80s, I also came of age as an actor in the world with the new technology, the new platforms of technology. So I have a generation of fans that on Sundays, the divorced family, the mom, the kids would go with dad, Sunday dad, to the video store, and Sunday dad, who wants to look good in his kids' eyes, he'd let them rent Nightmare 1, or Nightmare 2, or Nightmare 3, or Nightmare 4, and go home and they'd heat the pizza up in the microwave, and that was a ceremony, the video store. And what happens at the video store? It's like going to the library. You also discover other movies that you might want to watch. And some of them are great too. Oh, John Carpenter's The Thing. Oh. So this happened for me. Then what else happened? Cable. Cable starts coming in stronger and stronger. So people can binge me. They can binge me on cable. Early binging. Nightmare on Elm Street would be on at 6, 9, and 11 o'clock at night. On early HBO, or early Cinemax, or early Showtime, or some of these channels. And people would binge and watch it again. And then what else does VCRs have? They have pause buttons and rewind. And you could watch your favorite scene over and learn it better. And then what happens? DVDs. And then box sets of video, and then DVDs, and then box sets of DVDs, and then Blu-ray, and then digitally remixed, and now flat screens. And now streaming, and Netflix, and iTunes, and so what's happened is now you have to be discerning. But there's so much great stuff out here, and I was so fortunate to be part of that. I'm on my 3rd generation of fans now because of that, because of Dad. And it might be the same divorced dad, only 35 years later. And he brings his son home on Sunday, and they heat up the pizza on the Wolf Range, and they pop in Freddy vs. Jason, Blu-ray, digitally remixed with extras, watch it in the man cave, on a 60-inch state-of-the-art flat screen, and that movie holds up for a 12-year-old boy. It's good. It's got a good story. It's a great adventure. So I've inherited this because of technology. And it's just this great, happy accident of my career. God, I'm doing a Donald Trump gesture. Down! Anyway, so I'm really grateful to that. That's something that really happened. When people tell stories like this young man did, I think that's part of it. I think I have to say that the technology was part of it. Not just me, but that whole intimacy of sitting on a couch, you know, fighting over the last piece of pizza, you know, with a movie you'd chosen, you know, through a vote with the family on a Saturday or a Sunday, the trip to the video store, the trip to get the DVD at Blockbuster. This is all history now, but we still have it. Now it's like you vote over what we're going to watch on Netflix, you know. Oh, don't binge without me. That's the new. Please don't binge without me. My wife and I fight all the time about this. Don't binge without me, you know. And this is, I mean, I spend probably 45 minutes every Friday on demand because I'm old school. So I go on my on demand and I see what the new movies are. What are the new European movies? What are the new horror movies? What are the new action movies? What are the new blockbusters that I might have missed at the theater that I don't have to see in IMAX or 3D? And I pick them out, you know. And I keep up, and I'm always discovering some new little horror movie from Europe. I'm always discovering some new little horror movie from Asia. I'm always finding something that fell through the cracks that didn't get a lot of attention from the media because it wasn't hyped or because they were all talking about Transformers 15. And it didn't get enough attention. And it's really, it's just a great habit to get into. You see, those trailers are free. Watch the previews for free and learn to be discerning. But also, support that little movie, that little horror movie. Support The Witch, you know. Support some of these little dark movies that are being made that are great. There's some great stuff out there. Next question.
Hi, nice to meet you, Robert. Thanks for the photo op today. It was awesome. I was wondering if you can give a shout out to my friend Sierra. She couldn't come here today because she's saving money to travel to Japan this summer, but she's a huge Freddy fan. She plans to get a tattoo of you. My name is Jonathan.
Turn it on.
Okay, it's on. To Sierra. Yeah.
Sierra, I've got John. You're never going to see that punk again unless he puts down his foot.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I'm a huge fan. I actually have like your face right here on this shirt here.
Oh, I see it, yeah.
And I've got like a sort of multi-question thing, and I'm sorry to everyone about this, but first, you just said that you're playing Scarecrow in Injustice 2. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you were also the Riddler in the animated series The Batman, right?
You are correct, sir.
Is there any other iconic DC or Marvel character that you're looking forward to ever playing in your life?
You know, I would love to have had a crack at Joker. But, you know, here's what happens. You know, and I love Mark Hamill's work, you know, and I love Jack Nicholson's work, but Heath Ledger put it to rest. And I'll tell you guys something. The second time I saw The Dark Knight, I was watching Heath Ledger, Joker. You know how he's doing this all the time. I was thinking, where did he come up with that? What a great choice. And then I realized the Joker's been slit ear to ear. He's cut. That's why he has that smile. It's over his scar tissue. He's cut from ear to ear. And it's all sewn up. And he wears the smile, the grimace all the time. So what's he doing? What's Heath doing as an actor for his voice for the Joker? He's rubbing his tongue on the scar tissue. The imaginary scar tissue on the inside of his mouth. Just like when we get a canker sore, you know, or you bite the inside of your cheek because you're eating too fast, and you do this for a couple days. He made that as an actor's choice. That's how good that guy was. That's what a talented guy that guy was. Oh my God. So I don't want to play the Joker. I got to play the Vulture on Spectacular Spider-Man, but I mostly was screaming because Spider-Man was kicking my ass. And I kept waiting I wanted to do one of my mad scientist scenes, but I didn't get to do a mad scientist scene. So that would have been that might have been one of them, you know. I mean, the big iconic guy, you know, the Batman and all of those, and they're not really up my alley. And I happen to be playing a lot of the ones that are up my alley, you know. So I think, and I'm doing a lot more voiceover work. So maybe there'll be some more that I'm not thinking of right now. But I gotta tell you, on Injustice 2, it was really nice, you know, fighting with Catwoman and Harley Quinn. Okay, next question.
I had a second
one more question? I'm sorry.
As Freddy, you have said a lot of outrageous lines, and is there anyone that just stuck out as like the most insane thing you've ever had to actually say?
Well, I know there's children here, so the one that I improvised, which is Welcome to Prime Time, or as the rappers say, biatch. That was an improv, but there's one in Freddy vs. Jason that's kind of nasty, but I can get away with it, I think. I'm squatting over Monica Keena and caressing her with the blade, and I say something like, oh, don't worry, princess. The first time tends to get a little messy.
Freddy versus Jason, but who else do you think would you be interested in seeing? Like Freddy versus Michael Myers, Chucky, Logan, Deadpool?
Oh! Get that Chucky, get him out of here! Little son of a... Chucky. No, I'll tell you a Chucky story. Kevin Yeager did my makeup from part 2 on. And he replaced David Miller, who had just done Michael Jackson's video, the famous Thriller, with Rick Baker. And Kevin made the makeup a little thinner and easier to move subtly. And Kevin used to bring in this fat kid doll. And he was hip-hop. He had a hip-hop hat on backwards. And overalls. And a kind of striped shirts were very hip-hop early on. And that was and he had short hair. Almost like a crew cut, red crew cut. And that was the original Chucky. Kevin designed Chucky. But he used to keep bringing in these prototypes, you know, all the time. Until finally, by the time they got it right for Chucky. And then Kevin wound up marrying Catherine Hicks from Child's Play. Fell in love and they've been together ever since. But no, I really wanted, and we left a lot of money on the table. And I think in hindsight, people at Sam Raimi's company and people at New Line Cinema, people at Time Warner are upset. There was a great idea and a treatment, and this is when Sam Raimi was God, the richest man in Hollywood because of the first Spider-Man franchise. And Sam wanted to do Freddy versus Jason versus Ash. Now, if you know, one of the greatest, wonderful, funny, smart actors in the business is Bruce Campbell. You know, he's also way too handsome. You know, but my idea was for the poster. I had this great idea. The reason we didn't do it is Sam wanted Bruce to win. He wanted Ash to win. He wanted Ash to kick Freddy and Jason's ass, which I thought was funny and a great idea. And they were, oh no, but Freddy lost in Freddy versus Jason. We can't have Freddy lose again because, you know, Freddy's the most successful franchise in the history of horror films, etc. I said, guys, you resurrected me with dog urine, you know, in one of the movies. You can bring me back. It's easy. Besides, I wink at the end. Everybody knows if they dream of me, I'll get them again. But no, we can't have Freddy lose twice. So that kind of fell away. But I had this idea for the poster. And you guys remember the 300, right? Everybody had those washboard abs. Well, I worked with that company. I worked with that crew up in Montreal. A lot of that was airbrush. Just so you know, the stuntmen couldn't stop eating that poutine in Montreal. They loved it. The French fry with the gravy all over it. So, but the stars, the actors all had to, they were into this one-upsmanship, working out. But then they highlight your abs with spray paint. It's a makeup trick. They've been doing it forever. And so my idea was we take Bruce's shirt off, right? We send him to the gym for a couple of weeks. So it's Bruce Campbell with his airbrush abs, right? And he's got Jason in a headlock on this side, and he's got me in a headlock on this side, and he's smiling. you know, with wind in his hair, like Beyonce, you know, wherever he goes, he's got wind in his hair. And the poster would say, Freddy versus Jason versus Ash, keeping the world safe from sequels.
Hi, Mr. Englund. I was wondering, down in LA, Universal does Halloween Horror Nights each year, and one of the ones that they keep bringing back is the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. And we're one of the groups that the security literally pushes through because we're, you know, in the high school or in 1428 Elm, and everything looks so cool, and they deliver the kill scenes. So it's kind of a two-part question. Have you ever gotten to go and check out the houses based on Nightmare on Elm Street?
Well, here's my favorite story about the Elm Street house. It's real. It's right below where the Actors Union used to be on Sunset Boulevard. You could, if you're standing on Sunset Boulevard, you could hit it with a rock. So if you know where that union is, then you know where the house is. And I used to park in front of the house 10 years, 15 years before I did Freddy, because I lived in Hollywood. And I would park there and walk up and pay my dues with a check in those days, because I didn't have a lot of money. You know, I was a starving actor in the early 70s. But I was in the Screen Actors Guild because in 73 I started my first movie. And you pay your dues. And I would park there for free instead of parking up on Sunset with all parking meters. So I knew that house. Now we use the house in the movie. That's cool. Now I'm doing Freddy versus Jason. And I'm in a suburb outside of Vancouver, beautiful homes. And I'm going to meet Jason Ritter. And I'm going to meet Kelly Rowland from Destiny's Child at the house. And I'd be taken there by my driver. And we pull down the street, we're coming down the street, and I see the house. And it's the house. It's the house from Hollywood, the house from the first movie. And I'm in Vancouver. And I said to my driver, I said, guys, you got to tell the art department, because they're always a day ahead of the rest of the cast. They got to build next day's work. I said, you got to tell the art department, because I just got up here. Got to tell them what a great job this is. This is phenomenal. And the guy turns to me and he said, oh no, they didn't do a thing. That house was here in Vancouver, Canada. So there's obviously an architect from the 1930s or the 1940s that built that house from Nightmare on Elm Street in several cities. Or as Freddy would say, every town has an Elm Street. One more question?
Yeah, kind of like he had said before with your favorite line. Do you have, there's so many iconic Freddy kill scenes, ironic kill scenes. Do you have one that was just like super fun to do on set?
Well, I mean, fun, it's weird, it's all hard, because there's so many elements and effects going on, and these were practical, the days of practical, until Freddy versus Jason. I love the kill in part 6, Freddy's Dead, of Carlos with a hearing aid, because it's so politically incorrect, you know. And, you know, I have fans that are in a wheelchair. I have fans that have special needs, whether it's sight or hearing. And I have actor friends that are in a wheelchair or need a cane, or maybe they're sightless in one eye. And they always want them to be saints. And it's like, let them play a villain. Let them play a bad guy. Let them get shot. Let them play the bank teller, you know, that gets shot for sympathy. But they tend to want to make everybody with special needs now a saint, as opposed to the complete spectrum of human nature that we have, that we can all have in us: jealousy, love, rage, anger. Let everybody, you know, play all those things. You know, let's actors, if they wanted that $50,000, because they could have made a lot out of those roles. And this is that thing about political correctness. So I love the fact that I pump up the volume on Carlos. I think this is the last question. What? Yes. The last question, and it better be good.
Oh boy. Okay, so it's just going back to like how you see old movies and like the blockbusters and stuff. I saw one, the cover was like a crocodile and a guy with a scythe. called Eaten Alive.
Eaten Alive.
I just wanted to ask if you had any interesting stories about being cast in the film or with Tobe Hooper.
That's my
on
first
set.
horror movie, Eaten Alive. It was called Death Trap. We had to change it because of the play that was on Broadway with Christopher Reeve did the movie. Superman did the movie version with Michael Caine. And so this was my first time working with Tobe Hooper. And, you know, Tobe Hooper's film, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, is one of the most ripped off movies ever made. And that's everybody. Even our gods, even Mr. Spielberg borrowed a little bit from that movie. Everybody, if you look at that movie, that's the first of everything. How many times have you seen the damn fan? You know, the spinning fan, the light coming through the fan? Tobe Hooper. All that stuff is in that movie. And things hanging down and tinkling for scary. Tobe Hooper. Anyway, and then Poltergeist. How many times have you've never seen adults smoke marijuana before in a movie until Poltergeist? Cool mom and dad can be really nice and they can smoke dope too. And we don't have to make them devils. Oh, they're devils. You know, no, they're nice people, you know. And they love their kids. And so Tobe was like really cutting edge, and that's why I said yes to that movie. And here's the thing, I worked with 3 Oscar winners in that movie. Carolyn Jones from Addams Family. Amazing people were in that movie. Mel Ferrer, Audrey Hepburn's husband. Neville Brand. Stuart Whitman, Oscar nominee. Lots of really great actors. So, and you see that call sheet, and then I walked onto the set the first day. Old studio, that they're using also in this Betty and Joan, The Feud, on TV right now on FX. Old Raleigh Studios, across the street from Paramount Studios, and I would go in, and there would be a Victorian house crumbling. Monkeys in cages, giant iguanas in cages, scratching to get out. Tumbleweeds, a 1967 Cadillac Eldorado, and Tobe Hooper with his brown hand-roiled Sherman cigarette from that Sherman cigarette store, the best tobacconist in all of New York City, going, Robert, I'd like you to come over here. Can you jump over this Cadillac without landing in it? And I go, no, I think so, Tobe. And that was my first day on the set, and that was my first horror movie, and I was kind of like, okay. Bad side of it, I spent 2 days in cold water wrestling with a rubber alligator. That's all, kids. Bye-bye.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us for the wonderful and iconic Robert Englund panel. Thank you.